This is the best interview I ever had, and I'm Marc Raco. Thanks for listening. So what kind of people and conversations can you expect on this podcast? Well, I've been sharing a few special moments from several of the really incredible interviews I've had over the last 10 years, and here's one of them. What's it like to work with the iconic director, Martin Scorsese? Well, just ask big deal actor Ato Essandoh. You've seen him most recently with a recurring role in the hit series The Diplomat, as well as in Chicago Med, Altered Carbon, Away, The Code, and even X-Men Dark Phoenix, among many other notable roles. In my 2020 interview with Ato, he shared a mesmerizing story about one of the most memorable moments that he had from many film and television productions, when he was, against all odds, directed by Martin Scorsese in the TV series Vinyl, set in the 1970s. Ato was completely under the impression he'd been cast only because the real guy wasn't available. And Ato says it ended up being the single greatest thing that ever happened to him.
I played a blues singer in this show called Vinyl that Martin Scorsese and Mick Jagger produced and made, and Terry Winter wrote it and all this stuff. And
did you have the opportunity to be in the same room with either or both of those
all
people?
Of them people.
That's fantastic. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm already excited, but I haven't even heard your story yet. Sure.
It's a slightly long story. Do we have time for it? It's not too long. I could just
do your thing, man.
Okay. Well, so it was an audition for this blues singer down on his luck, who, as they introduce in the scene, as he can sing like Elmore James and he can play the guitar like Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. And so I get the audition. I was like, I know in my mind I can play the guitar a little bit, right? But this is this big HBO show. They're going to get like Gary Clark Jr. to do it or something like that. I'll go into the audition. It's Ellen Lewis again, who I've known for years. So she's bringing me in. Right. So I go in to the audition and I do the audition, and they don't ask me about any of my musical abilities or whatever. But I tell Ellen, I was like, hey, Ellen, just to let you guys know, I play a little guitar. And she's like, okay, great. And I was like, kind of important for this, part, right? So anyway, I go home. I'm not worried about getting the part or getting a call back, whatever. I get a call back and I'm like, okay, called back for the same part. She's like, yeah, we thought you were a little too young for the part, but now you look a little bit right. So just read the part again. We're going to put you on tape again and I'll send it to Marty or whatever. And I'm like, okay, great. So I do the part again. I was like, Ellen, just to let you know, I play a little guitar. Just want you to know. She's like, oh, okay, great. I'm like, like literally the stage directions say a guy is playing the guitar and singing like this. And I can't really sing, but I can hold the tune. Okay. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Great. So a couple weeks go by and I hear that I'm in the running and I'm like, what? How am I in the running for this? Right.
I love the fact, by the way, that previously you had this Scorsese disaster, audition. And now you have the opportunity to work with Scorsese again. You're like, I'm not getting the part.
Yeah, that's redemption right there. Yes.
So like to shorten the story, weeks later, I happened to be hanging out with a friend and I run into Ellen Lewis, right? And this has been weeks have gone by and she's like, hey, Ato. And I've known Ellen. She's like quintessential New York casting director. Yeah. No nonsense, but just an absolutely wonderful person, right? She walks up to me. She's like, hey, Ato. And I was like, hey, what's up? And she's like, Marty's going to look at the tapes. And I'm like, okay. And I know she wouldn't tell me that if she was like lying. I was like, Marty's going to look at the tapes. And they haven't asked me about singing, playing guitar, anything like that. Right. So anyway, long story short, I get the part and I'm like, I got the part. Right. But then, the actor in my mind is like, well, wait a second. Nobody's asked me if I play the guitar. Nobody's asked me if I can sing. Oh, they've made a big mistake. They thought I was Gary Clark Jr. They dialed the wrong guy. And now they've made a big mistake. Oh, my God. So like my agent's like, no, dude, like you got the part. And I'm like, no, but I said like the guy has to play the guitar. He's a blues singer that Bobby Cannavale discovers in the bar and blah, 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 blah. And so they're like, all right, we'll figure this out. And so now I'm sending out like emails. I'm like, hey guys, how is this music part? Because the first time you see my character, he's playing in a bar and he's singing, right? I'm like, what the fuck, right? So we have a big read through and it's everybody. It's all of HBO. Marty's there. Everybody's there, right? And so we get to the part where, you know, my character starts to sing.
Book the room, man.
Yeah. Book the room too. You know what I mean? We go through the part. I don't sing the part, but I'm like really nervous. And I'd sent out an email going like, hey, how's the music going to work? And so they told me, well, the music director is going to be there at the read through. So talk to him, right? So Randall posted, the music director walks up to me. He's like, oh, hey, Ato. And he's really busy, right? He's like, oh, hey, Ato. Oh, so anyway, here's a CD. You just need to learn how to lip sync the music here. Right. And that's all you need to do. Just like learn the song, lip sync it. And we have somebody going to be singing the song. And I was like, okay, great. But what about the guitar part? And he looks at me, he goes, no, you're not going to play the guitar. No, he's going to play it. I was like, oh, no. Right. Because I've grown up listening to blues all my life, right? And so I'm like, I've never heard of a blues guy who doesn't play a guitar or piano or a harmonica, or he doesn't just stand there and sing. Like, I don't know any of them, right? And so now I'm thinking, oh, they couldn't get Larry Clark Jr., so now they're going with this schmuck who can like maybe hold a tune, right? And so I'm like, oh, right. So I go to the first like rehearsal where they're showing me what the music is, which is in Electric Ladyland Studios, which is Jimi Hendrix Studios, which is like, I'm a Jimi Hendrix fan. So it was like a Muslim going to Mecca. I was like, oh my God. I walk in, right? And they're just sitting there, the three music directors, Randall Poster. And he's like, look, you're going to listen to the music and this is the music you're going to sing. And I'm like, okay, great. But hey, guys, does anybody know that I can play the guitar? They're like, you can play the guitar? And I was like, I can play the guitar, right? And they're like, you're not going to play the guitar, right? So they send me away with the music. And then I go home and I learned how to play the guitar and I brought it back, right? And so they're
you did
like,
that of your own volition.
I did it on my own volition because I was like, look, as long as at least I tell them and show them, right? So I bring in the music the next day, right? And I'm like, okay, here's a video of me playing and singing, right? So like, I already know that you've got my voice taken care of that I'm going to lip sync to. Here's me playing the guitar. And they're like, holy shit, you can play the guitar. And I was like, yeah, dude, I can play the guitar, right? And they're like, oh, okay, well, we got to ask Marty because everything has to go through Marty, obviously. And so I'm like, okay. So they're like, all right, so learn how to sing it, learn how to play the rhythm, and then learn how to play the lead. And then we'll figure out which one Marty will want you to do. And I'm like, there's no way the guy has to play the lead. There's no way I'm playing the rhythm. Like, he's got to play the rhythm. So anyway, make the long story short, right? I just learned how to play the lead. I was like, I'm playing the lead, playing the lead, right? So I get a word, they get the word from Marty. He's like, okay, you're playing the lead. And I was like, okay, great. But Marty hasn't seen me do it yet, right? So we've been shooting all these other scenes and my guitar scene hasn't come up yet, right? So we're doing this rehearsal and Marty's the sweetest guy, right? But we took a break in the rehearsal and then he walks up to me. He's like, hey, Ato. I'm like, hey, Marty. He's going, so you're playing the guitar now, huh? I'm like, yeah, I'm playing the guitar now. He's like, okay. He turns around and walks away and I'm like, oh God, right. So get to the day of the shoot, right? And now it's been clear that I can play. And the way Marty works is that he's got everything set up first. And then you go through like a rehearsal and then he comes to set. Okay. And he is such a legend that it's not because he's an asshole, but like when he walks into a room, everything goes dead silent. It is amazing. Wow. He's like, everything goes silent. So everybody's worried that like, I don't know enough guitar, right? Like I can tell, right? So I walk into this bar, there's all the extras in the bar. There's Bobby, there's everybody standing there. And they're like, okay, so you're going to be playing the guitar here, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, great. So let's go through a rehearsal. We're going to have a click track so we can play all the music through it. And then you're just going to play along, right? Great. And so they're like, do you know what a click track is? I was like, I don't know. He's like, oh my God, you don't know. Right. So you're going to hear click, click, click. And then the song's going to come in. Right. So I was like, okay, great. So let's do a rehearsal. Click, 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 boom. The song comes in and I fucking murder it, right? And everybody's like, oh, wow, right? So we're going to bring Marty in now. Everything okay? Are you going to bring Marty in? I was like, yeah, bring Marty in, right? So everything is like loud and all of a sudden I hear this like silence, like wave come through because Marty's coming in. And he always tells me, he's like, in the morning, I'm like in a bad mood when he's trying to get out of the house. He's just like, I'm just trying to get out of the house. I'm in a bad mood, but like, it's okay. It's okay. I just want to go shoot.
I want you to know how much I dig that you have a Marty Scorsese impression.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I love the man so much. He was like, so he comes up, I'm standing on stage with the band and I've got my guitar and he walks up and he just stomps up and he was like, so you're going to play the guitar, huh? Okay, let's go. Shoot. Right. And he stomps around and he goes and sits behind the monitor. He's like, okay, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Right. Click, click, click. Song comes on and I just shred it. Right. And then he comes and then like I hear cut and there's like silence. And then he comes around and he goes, terrific. And then he goes back and then suddenly there's a camera here. There's a camera here. They're shooting all over the place. And I'm like, that is the single greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Like I had all the Marty Scorsese shots. He had like a track around me where the camera comes around. Like I was like, oh my God. And if I hadn't said, look, hey guys, I can play the guitar, he wouldn't have gotten all of that. Right. So I was like, he was like looking at me. And then Bobby tells me, I know this sounds like I'm just juicing myself up, but then Bobby tells me that, what's his face? Mick Jagger called in the middle of shooting. He was like, hey, so how's everything going? Right. And Bobby's like, dude, Ato is killing it, man. He's like, he's killing it. So he's telling Mick Jagger on the phone how well I'm doing. And I'm like, you're kidding me. He's like, dude. And I was like, this is the best. Like, if you shot me in the face right now, be fine. You know, it's good.
and being a Scorsese film, that's a chance, really.
Yeah. There you go.
I'll be back soon with another memorable interview moment. Please be sure and subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you find your best podcasts so you get every moment. And you can follow the show on Instagram and Facebook at Best Interview Pod and on Twitter at Listen Subscribe. Thanks for joining me and see you soon.